Hello everybody, this is Nerdy Geeky, and I'm back for another review. I know this has been a while since I've done this, and this isn't a movie review. Everyone's been talking about the Ghostbusters recently, and I feel like I've been too quiet on this for far too long. So I decided that I'm going to have to make my own little video on the review of the new trailer that's out, and I'm sure everybody's watched it or heard of it. And there's obviously can't be any spoilers here because no film is out just yet. But let's just get into it. Now, before we start, I'm going to preface this by saying, I have no problem with an all-female cast. In fact, I think it's refreshing. I feel that the hate this film gets for an all-female cast is unjust, considering the first two films were an all-male cast. Even the main, I know Sigourney Weaver's in it, but the other secretary, he was male as well. So I feel like complaining that this is an all-female cast is very hypocritical by the fans of the previous all-male cast. And I will also go on to say that the original cast, you weren't going to get this. Unfortunately, one of them has died, and the rest of them, they're just getting on with age now, and these films of the original two are very old. But I will say this, and this is something that's said on a podcast that I really enjoy: those films still exist. Number 1 and 2, they still exist. You can still watch them. You can still go and watch them as many times as you want. They're still there. This film will not ruin your childhood. It will not change your perspective on the world. It will not change movies forever. It's just a funny movie that they decided to make, and instead of having an all-male cast, they've gone for an all-female cast. Obviously, you've got Chris Hemsworth in there as well, which I'm very happy with. I like Chris Hemsworth. I thought it was quite funny, actually. A couple of days before they actually announced the casting, I didn't realise the casting was coming out. I was thinking, who could you cast in a film that's supposed to be half serious, but at the same time mostly comedy? And I thought, well, you're going to get sort of 2 or 3 very, very good-looking, typically Hollywood-looking women. I said, and then you're going to get, obviously, you're going to get your African-American woman, and I didn't really know who they would cast for that. But then I thought, and you're going to get your one woman who is really eccentric, probably quite overweight, and and they're going to make jokes out of that. And the first thing that came to my mind is, oh, Melissa McCarthy. She's popular at the moment. It's probably going to be her. A few days later, they announced the cast, and what do you know, Melissa McCarthy's in it. I have no problem with that. I actually do like Melissa McCarthy. I think she's quite funny. I really liked The Heat, and I actually liked her little role in The Hangover 3. I liked her in Identity Thief. I haven't actually seen Spy yet, but I'm actually watched that. I'm not a massive Jason Statham fan, but I am a fan of Melissa McCarthy, so I'm absolutely fine with that. I watched the trailer. I thought some bits were funny. I thought others weren't. I don't really like the fact that the African-American woman in it is basically being a typical African-American woman. No offence, I don't hope that doesn't offend anybody, but I feel like that's a negative stereotype that she's perpetuating there. Obviously, it's not her fault, it's the writing. She's just acting it out, but they've made her, it's Leslie Jones. I just had to look that up. But it's Leslie Jones. I've not seen her in anything else, but she's basically loud, she's obnoxious. She's not one of the scientists, she's just street smart. I think this is one of those. It's almost Michael Bay-like that this is a very negative, again, African American stereotype. Why have they done this? I feel like this is pandering to very juvenile humour, and I'm not probably going to enjoy her character as much. I'm keeping my mind open though. I will go to the cinema and watch this. I'm not going to not watch it just because it's an all-female cast or just because it's got a bad trailer. If you watch the original trailer for the original Ghostbusters, it isn't that great either, to be honest with you, but that was a great film. So what I'm going to advise to anybody who watches this, don't judge a film. They say don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a film by its trailer, or at least not by its first trailer. Let them get out some more of the funny bits. So anyway, let's move on from the cast. The cast seem absolutely fine. They seem to work together really well. There seems to be quite natural chemistry between them. That works really well, I think. I think it does look quite funny. I think it's going to have these moments where it's quite tense, and then there's going to be a funny bit that breaks it all up. That can work. It can also fail quite hard. I can't tell from this whether that's going to work or not. It's sort of 50-50. I like the fact that they got the Ecto-1. It looks great. It looks the same and different at the same time, if you understand what I mean. It looks enough to reference the classic Ecto-1, but it looks different enough to be like, oh, that's the original, this is the new one. I do prefer the design of the original, I'm not going to lie. That's not just nostalgia, I just prefer the design of it. I'm not a supercar enthusiast anyway, so when I say supercar, I don't mean a supercar, I mean I'm not a super enthusiast of cars, before anybody comments that it's not a supercar. I do think it's quite funny that it's a hearse. I know people are a bit confused as to why or whatever, but it's just a joke, it's a funny film. It's supposed to be a funny film. This is what I don't get. this doesn't seem to be a sequel. This seems to be a reimagining. Now, I'm not going to say it's a remake, because it's not a remake. It's not the same characters or anything, but it seems to be a reimagining. And now I was kind of hoping for a sequel where they would either they'd find or buy the firehouse, and then they would maybe find all the equipment and decided to go ghost hunting themselves, or the old team, they're getting on a bit, so they're recruiting people and they find these 4 women that can do this job really well. Maybe that's why they chose women that show very similar traits to the original cast. And the original characters, they show traits to them. So and that would explain it quite well as to why we're getting these characters that seem to be very carbon copies of the original characters. But they don't. They've gone for a reimagining. So they've got the firehouse. They make their own equipment. They make the Ecto 1. Now I was like, oh, they made a car that kind of looks like it, and then I read the number plate that said Ecto 1. I was like, well, this has stopped being on my own 2 feet and stopped being almost a direct reimagining. They even have the librarian scene in it. I don't understand. They could have done any scene. They didn't have to be a librarian scene. I understand that people are going to go and go, oh, it's a reference to number 1. But it's not a reference when you just copy a scene. It's a remake or a reimagining. Now, I'm going to be kind and say this is a reimagining. This film, to me, feels like J.J. Abrams and Michael Bay collaborated on making the Ghostbusters. That's what it feels like to me, because it feels like it's a reimagining that looks good. I mean, the aesthetic is amazing. They've got all the details right, and they've updated it enough for the 21st century. But it feels like it's very juvenile humour. I think by casting an all-women cast, they could have made this equally good for men, women, boys, children, girls, children, whatever. They could have made it a full-round family film. They've made it really juvenile. From the preview, I'm saying this is from the trailer, they seem to have made it really juvenile, and they seem to, they seem to have made these women very, very smart, but act really dumb. So they're scientists, but they act kind of stupid, and I'm just like, well, the point of having an all-female cast was to empower the female cast in a stark relation to the all-male cast that we had before. And they've kind of just gone, yeah, look, you got all these scientists, but they act really dumb and really stupid. They're on a really serious role, and they're trying on wigs and hats. Like they're playing with their Barbie dolls or something. I don't like that, because you may have made an all-female cast, but you're still perpetuating negative stereotypes of women. So you've gone against what you've tried to do. Also, they said they didn't want the original cast in handing this down and being a sequel because they wanted these women to stand up on their own 2 feet. Fair enough, that's fine. Put it in a different city. Don't put it in a firehouse. Do something else. Don't put Ecto 1 in it. Put a different car or a different number plate. Do something different. That is how you stand on your own 2 feet. You don't stand on your own 2 feet by saying, okay, it's not a direct sequel, but it's part of the universe, but they're going to do everything exactly the same as the original characters did. That's not stand on your own 2 feet. That's just copying the original film, changing enough that it's now a new film, and making it an all-female cast. I know I've ragged on it mostly for most of this nearly 10-minute video now, but I'm still hopeful. I'm still going to watch the next trailer, and I'm probably going to go watch it at the cinema because I quite like the cast. I'll give it a good go. If it's good, I'll say it's good. If it's bad, I'll say it's bad. I'm not going to go with the consensus that everybody was hating on it. Make your own opinion. I think it looks quite funny in places and not in others. I'm hoping the not in others is the minority of the film. I'm hoping the majority of the film is the funny bits. I'm hoping it's going to be quite good. I think the ghosts look good. They're weirdly glowy, like extremely glowy. Whatever, doesn't matter. It's a new look. Give it a chance. It doesn't have to look like the original. It doesn't have to be the original. Unfortunately, it feels like a weird mix of a remake and a different storyline. I quite like the storyline that somebody is like amplifying the paranormal activity. I think that's great. I think that's really interesting. And like I said, I'm going to give it a watch. This is only a trailer, and this video is like 4 times the length of that trailer. If you haven't seen the trailer, definitely go watch it. Form your own opinion. Don't care how many dislikes it's got. Don't care how many likes it's got. I'm a big fan of the Ghostbusters. I watched them as a kid. I grew up with those films. There's only 2 films. I think they're both good. I know a lot of people like the first and not the second, or vice versa. Everyone has their different opinions. I quite like both of them. It's a shame that we're never going to get the original cast, but it's just too late for that. Give this one a go, see what happens. Please, word of mouth is the one thing that can kill a franchise, one thing that can kill a film, and one thing that can make a film. Don't just judge it that it's an all-female cast. Like I said, the original one was an all-male cast, and no one seemed to care about that. So I don't care it's an all-female cast. I'm quite looking forward to seeing Chris Hemsworth. He kicks in a door and seeing what he's doing. He almost looks possessed in that scene, though, so let's see that. I'm quite looking forward to the film. I know it's a bad trailer. Doesn't mean it's going to be a bad film. Star Wars Episode 1 was a brilliant trailer. It was an awful film. There you go. Hopefully this is the other way around. Awful trailer, good film. Well, thank you for watching this, guys. I know this is quite long. This is my return, hopefully, to reviews. I've got a few things I want to do. I see you guys seem to like the Star Wars lore videos, so I'm going to try and dig out some lore from that. But please, if you do enjoy this video or you want to watch more, please do subscribe. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy it. Just please be honest with yourselves and be honest with everyone else. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back very, very soon. Thank you and goodbye.